And here we go, a 9-race Thursday afternoon, kicking off week 2 of the spring meet at Gulfstream Park. Good to have you with us, everybody, on this live edition of Gulfstream today. It's Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett alongside. 3 consecutive dark days in the books, and we come back with the 9-race card and the opening baby race of the season.
Yeah, 2-year-olds are just warming up. We got the fillies today, tomorrow and Friday. We got the colts and geldings, so always a great time here at Gulfstream Park. And what a gorgeous day out. No humidity, main track is fast, turf firm. Nice day.
Oh, idyllic conditions on a fast and firm Thursday, April the 11th, as we settle in, and certainly not to rush things throughout today, but we do have another Friday Stronach 5 lined up. We return close to 90% of the pool. We're coming in off another near 5-figure payday last Friday afternoon, and I like the fact it's been nice every week, it seems. The lineup of races or the scheduling changes just a bit, but this one to me, Ronnie, boom, we start at about 5:15 and we wrap up about 60 minutes later. I mean, that is nonstop action over the course of 1 hour.
Yeah, we got a couple of really interesting races from Gulfstream Park. That is leg B and leg D. That's races 9 at Gulfstream, race 10 at Gulfstream Park. So a couple of those races really nice. That race 10 is not an easy one at all.
No, absolutely not. And some big fields throughout the afternoon, Friday, and certainly today as we get ready for our What's on Tap on a fast and firm Thursday afternoon here in Hellendale Beach. Day 5 of the spring meet. We've got the first season, the opening 2-year-old race of the season coming up in the 4th. I'll tell you, though, later on, Ronnie, in a much different race than the first-time starting fillies in the 4th, Baffin Bay and Valmy Now, they're 2 very good turf horses in the 6th.
Yeah, they hooked up in the Sage of Monticello in a really good race, and Valmy Now went on to win again. Baffin Bay also went on to win, so very good race here, and that is part, of course, of the Rainbow 6.
And the late pick 5, and in fact, we'll get to those things in just a couple of moments. In regards to that Rainbow 6, it took a few days, in fact, 4 total, but we eclipsed that $100,000 plateau and threshold in the carryover situation, and only 1 on the card, but we make it worthwhile at nearly $109,000 in that race for Rainbow 6.
Yeah, and you see that you made it there. Race 4 with 9-race card, races 4 through 9, so make sure you get your handicapping done.
All right, now we do start out on the turf. It is mostly a turf day, if you will. 5 on the grass, 4 on the main track, and that opening pick 5 will have a big favorite by race time of the first at a little after 1:15, around 1:20 p.m. That speed horse who's going to be favored is the number 1, Gaga Over You. She's the best speed. She's the most accomplished in the race. There is the what if, though, if she gets pressed and has to duel pretty hard from that tough inside post, and I feel as though going 1-8, the 2 bookend horses, I've got the speed. I've also, in the form of Bright Venezuelan, I've got the best finisher. My single, and of course, my single is a horse who's been at times a Jekyll and Hyde type filly, but assuming we get the good Gran Bonita Chica from November, December, and January, she might just be too much racehorse in today's second. Coverage the remainder of the way, including a 4-horse spread for me, Ronnie, in that opening 2-year-old race. Reiterate by competitive edge. I hear Sonar is pretty good for Arundel. Marv is the Wesley Ward firster, and Majudy towards the outside for Patrick Biancone with some good workouts, and Edgar Zayas. I got to use all 4.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, because we'll soon figure it out, but you never know what you might be seeing in these 2-year-old races. Maybe a Florida Stakes winner down the road, so you always got to pay attention for these maiden special weights when they start at 4.5 furlongs.
Hey, we had a very good cast of 2-year-old fillies here a year ago. That includes Cookie Dough, of course, who sounds like she's bound for the Kentucky Oaks, assuming she has enough points, which will probably be the case. And don't forget a horse like Catherine the Great, who did win the Schuylerville at Saratoga. But that opening pick 5, or at least my ticket, in the books, and that means we can discuss Gaga Over You, who, assuming all things being equal, she's got the best races, the lifetime totals are pretty good, and I think legit excuses in her last couple of starts, both spaced out a good ways, but between the boggy course at Belmont last October, and what chance in hindsight, post 12 at 12 last time?
Yeah, she has the back class, the speed, the post to lead this group from flag fall to finish. Georgina Baxter, Paco Lopez certainly adds to the appeal. Got that inside draw this afternoon. You mentioned Bright Venezuelan. We had a little difference with our second and third picks. I put Ice Show in there, who I thought was sharp on the turf a couple in back-to-back turf sprints, goes back to grass. broke poorly last time out, put a line through that race, figures in there. I think these are the logical 4, actually, we have up there.
Yes, yeah, no doubt. I mean, they'll all be different prices, of course. You've got Gaga Over You, who's going to be, again, probably on the border of an odds-on favorite. Even money 4 to 5 by race time as Paco Lopez returns here to Gulfstream. He rode last weekend at Keeneland, picked up a win aboard Out for a Spin, paid $106 in the Grade 1 Ashland, and then rode, I think, 4 horses Sunday at Keeneland, but Paco from the rail, going to be tough to beat.
He's been winning those Grade 1s and Grade 2s recently, so let's see. He had that bad luck in Dubai when Roy H. had a scratch, so he made up for it at Keeneland.
All right, let's move on to the second race as we move on to the first of 4 dirt races on the program. 12-5, 3 and up filly mare claimers going that 1-turn mile. And again, it's hard to be ultra confident in the 6 Gran Bonita Chica because that last race does exist, where she checked in 5th of 6th at 1-2. But the fact that she's had close to 50 days of returns for a deadly off the claim barn and Mike Maker leads both of us to believe we're going to get the good version of her today.
Yeah, and the key, he gave him some time off. He gave the horse some time off. We're talking about trainer Mike Maker. She had a 3-race week win streak, and when she failed to fire, as you mentioned, has that odds-on choice at this level and distance. Fergal Lynch will quarterback what probably is going to be a rebound performance this afternoon. Valerie first. I'm glad to see you put Jazzy Beach on your ticket up there prominently, stretching out to mile. Took the overland route last time out. Don't know what to do with this horse, but Kathy Mungeon, she's had a couple of winners recently, and she's got a go-to jock, Hector Berrios, in the saddle.
I like that Jazzy Beach, a few back for Patrick Biancone, handled 7 furlongs on the dirt, and Kathy Mungeon quietly, her horses have run pretty well, and oftentimes her horses are going to be prices. Not such a big price in the second race, of course, with only 6 horses, but a main danger if Gran Bonita Chica doesn't fire her best. Moving on to the third, we're up in class here. I mean, as far as quality goes, this is the toughest field, the best-looking field we've had thus far on the card. 3 and up runners in this 20K optional claimer on the dirt going 7 furlongs. And I'll let you elaborate a little, Ronnie, on the 6 Royal Squeeze, who you picked on top. Here's a win from this 7-year-old by the late Wildcat Air last time out, who with that speed, the right kind of post here on the outside. The race, whether you think this horse is vulnerable or not, this ultimately is the starting point and could, just with the race flow, be the right horse to win 2 straight.
Well, he's going to stretch out to one of his best distances. He's had 10 races with 3 wins, 2 seconds, followed a pair of third-place finishes. I thought this was a game score against those 50-starter optional claimers, going 3/4 of a mile. Elizabeth Doble's the trainer. She does an excellent job, and she's got my buddy Sammy Camacho in the saddle. Thought it was the one to beat, and I used Just Kidding in second, and hard-knocking Chatham, who is the strangest claim to me. Yeah. I couldn't see Mike Maker going in and grabbing his horse, but he must have saw something he liked.
Yes, don't ultimately love the fact they took him for a quarter, and even though it's a very, very slight dip in terms of claiming price from 25 to 20, I don't love that. But looking at Maker, who claims a lot of turf horses, it doesn't seem, at least as far as South Florida goes, he's got Gran Bonita Chica in the second, on to Chatham. We just don't see him on this circuit run that many new claims on the dirt. But again, for a 5-year-old who, with peace and love, this is a pretty big move up. I'm thinking this is just a good sign with a guy who's as sharp as Maker to jump in and then give the horse about 45 days between starts. Don't forget, this horse likes 7 furlongs, too.
He likes 7 furlongs. He had an excuse last time, and he lost his best chance. He broke Stoli against those 25 optional claimers. But that was going a mile into 16. So I've just found it interesting. I went with Royal Squeeze, but, boy, I wouldn't leave Chatham off the ticket. I just found it a little bit of a strange claim.
Yeah, very atypical, kind of against the grain there, again, with the trend of Mike Maker, who wins a lot here, especially on the turf. We do have plenty of turf coming up, including that opening 2-year-old dash of the season. Quick timeout. We're back after this.
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
And as we welcome you back here to this live Thursday edition of Gulfstream Today, I'm thinking just with XBTV and the commercial we just ran, Maximum Security, our unbeaten Express Bet Florida Derby winner, will likely be working perhaps this coming Saturday. And if he does, up at Palm Meadows, you better believe XBTV will be there covering the breeze.
Absolutely. And I watched all those prep races, trying to get into the Kentucky Derby all around the country. And Maximum Security took a jump forward in my estimation.
Yeah, we've got that one final major round coming up this weekend out in Hot Springs at Oaklawn Park with the Arkansas Derby. No, Baffert's got Improbable there. It's a big field as well. So that last real dress rehearsal for the Run for the Roses coming up here very, very quickly.
Yeah, and you got Harvey Wallbanger in there, who, of course, trained here all winter long. So we'll see how he runs. So almost how long before the Kentucky Derby? Not
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Amazing.
Yeah, 3 weeks and change,
Wow.
which is, it's hard to believe. It really is just how fast time has gone. But that being said, the fact that we're barely 2 weeks into April, it's no surprise as we start the Jackpot Rainbow that all 8 of these 2-year-old fillies in today's 4th race are first-time starters. I'm 4 deep here. Major spread on that early pick 5. I'm wondering just how many you used here in the Rainbow 6.
Well, I went 3 deep in here with the 2, 3, and 4. And, of course, I like the 3-horse Sonar today. I think that horse is going to run well. Would have liked to have gone 4 deep, but I wanted to keep my ticket affordable. And then you mentioned earlier the race number 6, really good race with Baffin Bay and Val Me Now. I got Val Me Now on top, but definitely using both those horses. Now, in race number 8, we had a big scratch in there, but won The Fly by Jason Service. I think a lot of people might be singling there. I had to go 2 deep. And in the last race, talking about Mike Maker, you got Catnip Kitten, first-time starter by Kitten's Joy, 4 Maker in there. Couldn't single that horse because it was a single, so I went 3 deep, 43.20 for me.
All right, sounds good. I singled, in fact, Fly in today's 8th race. I thought, actually, Beechwood Ella would run well for Patrick, but she ultimately is a scratch out of there, and I'll be surprised if Fly's not favored there. I don't think she's favored on the morning line behind Island Reward. I think she'll be favored. She's going to be favored there anyway, and a single for me a bit later on in a good-looking cast. In fact, I guess the technical feature on the card, but I'll tell you, race 4 is a standalone event in its own right, and as they say, as it goes, this thing of ours, a whole new crop of Florida-based 2-year-olds, and you never know, even on a quiet Thursday like this, when you might see a future graded stakes winner, Cookie Dough, Catherine the Great. I'm wondering, Ronnie, who is the starting point going into this race for you?
Well, I went with the number 3 Sonar, who's a full sister to Capriati, who was 3 for 3 in the money as a 2-year-old, including that 3rd-place finish. That was in the Desert Viction division of the Sire Stakes. Arundel was really high on Capriati. Going to debut for Juan Alvarado, and Arundel. Juan Alvarado trains their 2-year-olds on the farm, and really sharp morning work tab. I gotta see this horse run. I think this is the one that can be something nice.
Well, she's got a nice breeze for sure at Arundel, that half mile in 47-1, and they're just a classy operation for sure. And I heard through the grapevine that they're pretty high on Sonar, even though they were joking with me this morning, texting, going, "We wish today's race was at a mile." She'd definitely win if this was at a mile, but Sonar, no doubt dangerous, as is, I'm hoping, the number 2 Reiterate, who's got the one sort of marquee first crop stallion in the race being by Competitive Edge as she debuts for trainer Mark Cassie. I'd imagine she can come out firing. And let's not forget the 4 Marva, who is the Wesley Ward trained filly in the race, who's been all over from Turfway to GPW and debuts with Eduardo Nunez.
Yeah, I got that bullet work over at Gulfstream Park West. Let's show you a stat on Wesley Ward with his 2-year-old fillies, first-time starters on the dirt. Big sampling, 39 of 113, 35%, 61% in the money, and $1.74 return investment. And everybody knows Wesley Ward and 2-year-olds are synonymous. So I think those are the logical 3, but I can understand you going 4 deep on your ticket.
Yeah, I wanted coverage with Edgar riding the 8 Mahudi towards the outside, the gray filly for Patrick Biancone. I think back to a time around the turn of the millennium, different ball game and stuff, a different time of the year, but Patrick would come to Saratoga with some of those pricey Coolmore babies. You took the short price, and more often than not, they just whistled. But a good matchup, four very good outfits involved in today's 4th race, of course, as we have our first 2-year-old maiden race of the season. Let's move on to the 5th. Already time for the late pick 5 at a real crossroads and some overlap here as we cash out the early pick 5 and get the late one underway with this cast of 9. It's a good turf race. race. And boy, there are a number of newer acquisitions, including a horse in Karenina towards the outside, the number 9, bouncing back with trainer Rohan Crichton, who playing around. Now, I'm 3 deep to start, but I was just looking at what he's done recently. Past 30 days, Ronnie, Rohan Crichton, he's 7 for his last 16 here.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I got him on my ticket for all the reasons you just mentioned right there. Also, courtesy note is moving to the Marcial Navarro bond. Really good first off the claim.
Oh, and he's had a bang-up year. In fact, Mr. French, the star of the Shed Row, runs in tomorrow's feature. That's a really good 9th race feature, which is a part of the Stronach 5 as well. My single, speaking of features, as I mentioned, I'm standing alone with the number 1 fly in race number 8. This filly, or I should say mare by Brilliant Speed, she's going to be favored over Island Reward and going to be a short price, and I'm hoping she can capitalize for a 35% barn and trainer Jason service. So 359 for me, Ronnie, to start. And again, getting back to my initial point that there's some newer or recent acquisitions in the race, I like Karenina bouncing back to Rohan Crichton because he's been so tough to beat of late. But I certainly respect Marcial Navarro in the year he's had. And again, peace and love. This could be a pretty big trainer change off the claim with courtesy notice.
Yeah, I moved to Marcial's barn via claim following a really game 35 maiden victory. Slow starting, troubled trip, checked in that race at this level and distance. More importantly, I just think the barn does so well off the first off the claim. And the reason I also use Karina, and on the ticket, well, number 9. But the other horse that you had in 4th, I put up in 3rd. You people stepping up to face winners today responded to the drop down with that driving 20 maiden win. I want to show you stat on Brendan Walsh. Maiden winner last out on the turf. He's 8 for 31, 26%, 55% in the money, and a nice return of investment, $2.93. But I think the race goes through the 5 and 9. I put the 10 on my ticket for that reason.
A good trainer there. We might have to update that video. Maybe have some shots of him taking the trophy in the winner's share. What was the purse? $2-3 million when he upset the UAE Derby a few weeks ago over in Maidan. But a good outfit for sure, and a good trainer. And it's good to see him leaving some horses, at least as of now here in South Florida. Obviously has a pretty big presence at Keeneland with a new week, or I should say the second week continuing up northwest of us in Lexington, Kentucky. That sounds about right.
Everybody's north of us. I'll give you that much.
You got that right. Let's move on to race number 6 this afternoon. Heck of a rematch here. As far as what have you done for me lately, Baffin Bay and Vow Me Now might not win Eclipse Awards as champion turf horses, but they've got a nice little rivalry going. And this is, again, another meeting off a race here back on February 18th, in which Vow Me Now, who was a big price, was able to cut down Baffin Bay. They have very comparable running styles where Vow Me Now can lay up close and finish, and Baffin Bay maybe lays more mid-pack and can put in that one sustained extended run. I just, over their overall body of work, Ronnie, I don't think there's very much separating these horses. And I see today you're giving the slight edge like I am to the 11, Vow Me Now.
Yeah, Vow Me Now, this is a really nice performance, as we mentioned, in the Sage of Monticello. Comes back, and I think it's an equally impressive score in the 50 starter optional claimer going a mile. I want to show you stat of Mr. Eddie Plesa Jr., a winner last out on the turf right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 7 for 29, 24%. He's in the money 34% of the time, and a positive return of investment of $254. Vow Me Now, Baffin Bay. Baffin Bay been right there. It's also been great form since they met in the Sage of Monticello.
No, she's been a real underscore to what Safi as a whole has just accomplished here in South Florida over the last year and change. I mean, this is a one-time, relatively pricey pioneer, the Nile gelding, who just hadn't done all that much running. Got in with Safi's barn, switched to the turf, and has basically been flawless, winning 3 of those 4 races. Very dangerous from post number 4. And again, a nice little matchup there, 11-4 for Ronnie and I. We went to different horses, capping our tries and supers, but a nice matchup in race number 6. On to the 7th here as we bounce to the main. In fact, our final, the day's last dirt race, coming up with this 3-and-up filly and mare, $25,000 to $20,000 claimer. And looking at our picks,
I'm just smiling.
Not surprised. This race gave me fits.
Me
and
too.
ultimately, I don't really know how they're going to bet it. I saw Jay has got the two Sano horses that you have first and second. He's got them first and second choice. I'm not sure how they're going to bet this race. What won you over, though, with the 6 Mary Lee and Me? Was it the speed of her?
Yeah, Will's back at the same level, and I think finds a kind of pace scenario this afternoon. Set that pressured pace last time, finished third against similar Antonio Sano, and I like the fact that Edgar Zayas is in the saddle. Now, who hounded her last time? The 5, Posier. So they were knocking heads with each other in there, and I started laughing because I had such a tough time with this. Of course, I don't see the morning line, but I saw the race probably the same way Jay did. I just thought with the speed of Mary Lee and Me, Posier, and Glorious Mystery on top of my ticket, but you could sell me on the 3.
No, absolutely. I mean, you've got 2 for Antonio, who Ronnie likes first and second. Then you've got 2 horses for trainer David Fox, and coincidentally, both are trainer changes. The 8 Folly, who I don't like, obviously, as much as the 3 Slingin' Sammy B, because she's a turf horse, whereas the cross-traffic filly, who I picked on top, did win a couple of starts back for what it's worth on the dirt at Tampa Bay Downs. I like the barn change to David, and this could be a good spot for a horse who at least showed she could stay somewhat of a route of ground when she won at 8.5 furlongs back a day after Christmas at Tampa Bay. Leilani's on the rail, who's faced better, consistently better. Can she go a mile? There's just a lot going on in this race for sure, including a couple of fillies for Antonio who have been good when they've been good, but at times they've been a little inconsistent. I think you would have to admit that.
Yeah, and mine was just a speed play. It's basically what it was in there. And like if you're like a single like Jason does in the next race, maybe you go 5 or 6 deep in this race if you can find a couple of singles on your Rainbow 6 ticket.
Yeah, no, now Fly for me, moving on to our co-feature with the 2-year-old race in the mix, will be my single in a race that, again, I thought had a pretty big early defection in Beechwood Ella. Now, that leaves us with the field of 7 as we begin that all-turf Thursday late double in this high-priced allowance optional claimer. Fly's run without winning, but she's run pretty well here of late for trainer Jason Service, and I got no knocks against any horse who's close to Samara, who seems like she is just going this way for the same trainer.
Yeah, Fly makes it first touch. She rallied to finish third behind that next out Captiva Island winner, who you just alluded to, Samara, and the horse that next out winner factor of 1 won a $62,500 optional claimer at this level and distance. Want to show you stat on Jason Service: 31 to 60-day sprints on the turf right here at Gulfstream. He's 19 for 46, 41%. He's in the money. 41%. He's in the money 78% of the time. I almost lost my train of thought when I saw 78%. 262 is the return of investment.
Yeah.
That's some stat.
No, it's, again, and it's basically in line with everything else that he's accomplished, certainly just even looking at exclusive Gulfstream numbers. It's just been incredible. The 7 Island Reward is the class going in where she's obviously kept the best company, and she's done her running for the most part at a higher level than Fly. I like Island Reward as a horse. I still feel, even though she's won at this distance, I still get a sense 5 is just a little too short for her. 6 or 7, I'd really like her in this race, but I want to see her beat a legit informed horse for Jason Service going 5 today.
Yeah, you know, good connections with Yvonne Belsour, and they got Paco Lopez trying to rekindle her back class. She's going to have to show some of that back class, I think, to beat Fly this afternoon.
All right, Fly from the rail with Nick Juarez as we wrap things up with race number 9. Field of 10 after a few defections, including a whole bunch of also eligibles. But 10 in the nightcap here, our 5th and final turf race on the card. Got some 3-year-old fillies in this $20,000 maiden claimer. And I guess the one Tapizar girl who you have on top and I pick second, she's probably the right starting point because the thing she's got going for her, that good turf race last time out, and there's the kicker. She's got a good turf race. The others, for the most part, there's not a lot of grass form in this race.
Well, there was a scratch in this race of the number 11, Sassy Lassie, who was running at 5 furlongs. That was my speed play, 20 to 1 on the morning line. I thought this horse would go up and steal the race for Kathy Ridfo. They scratched that horse horse out. Tapizar was my second pick, who I thought if that horse was a guess that it would get the distance, that the Tapizar would pick up the pieces. And then I had to move up Catnip Kitten because of that, because we mentioned Mike Make a first-time starter, Kitten's Joy.
Yeah, Make a firster, Ramsey homebred. It just seems like Mike, like many top trainers, just knows where. He's got a lot of first-time starters and horses coming to him off the farm, but he just has a pretty good sense at where they belong, and if he thinks this horse can win for 20, I'm gonna just follow suit there with jockey Fergal Lynch. You got the other Barboza horse in the race, the 3 Bodie Bay by Bodie Meister, debuting with Hector Berrios. But again, there are some questions to be answered in today's nightcap, as we have 9, Ronnie, on the card, and very much looking forward to that 4th race for the 2-year-olds.
Yeah, can't wait. We might mark this down. You might see a champion in there somewhere along the line.
Yeah, let's hope. We're always optimistic here on Gulfstream today, and we'll take a little time out on the broadcast. Pete Aiello will be coming up shortly with those Thursday scratches and changes.
The best chance for success begins with a solid foundation. At Hardacre Farm, early personal one-on-one care starts the journey to becoming a champion. Bred to leading stallions, our mares represent the highest standards. Hardacre Farm's signature in the breeding industry. Based in Ocala, Florida, breeder and owner Amy Tarrant has inspired excellence throughout her entire career. In your quest for success, start with Hardacre Farm, breeding the champions of tomorrow.